This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 834 for the week of Monday, September 16th, 2024. My name is Steve, and I'm joined with a wonderful cast of characters and friends today. Ed will also be joining us shortly for the manga recap, but we have our very special guest, translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump, Stephen Paul. How's it going today, Stephen?
It's going well. I just woke my cat up to record here, so he's here present as well, and we're going to have a good time.
So there's going to be paws under doors, right? And there's going to be...
Yeah,
we're going to hear it.
Grabbing.
The scratching. Okay. And the scratching and the meowing and the... And we also have our editor for the show, Delaney Jordan. How's it going today, Delaney?
It's going all right. It's 1 a.m., so pretty early for me on an OPP hourly basis, but doing great.
Good. And then we also have our other editor, our good friend, Dan. How's it going today, Dan?
It's great to be back in Burbank, Johnny. Thanks for having me here.
I always thought I would die in Burbank.
How's the new digs, Dan? How you doing?
They're going pretty good. A lot of the appliances were broken, and the dishwasher flooded the kitchen on the first day when we were here, but smooth sailing so far.
Was it your dishwasher, or
yeah.
was it...
like we went to go do like a christening... Well, I should call it that. I was about to say christening load, but that sounds disgusting and terrible. But a christening dishwasher cycle.
I'm a teenager, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, like we
said christening load.
No, you're not wrong. Christening load is foul. Is a foul phrase.
Yeah, I regret everything that has happened in the last 10 seconds.
You could have. It's One Piece. Why don't you say something like our first voyage? Our Dish's first voyage.
Yeah, we set out from Dish Town and we landed in flooded floor island.
Where is that in Toto Land again? And last but certainly not least, we have YouTube sensation RogersBase on the show. Welcome back, Roger. How's it going?
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure being on the show. I do have to say, though, I'm calling in from lovely sunny Glendale, so neighbor in arms with Burbank. I'm right there, right next door. Feeling pretty good. Excited to read this chapter. I feel like I've lucked out. The past couple have all been good that I've been on. So thank you again for having me.
And I will say this, no matter where you live in the Valley in Los Angeles, everyone just thinks you live in Burbank.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Why don't we all just say we live in Burbank?
We all go to the same Burbank AMC to get the true IMAX experience. So I feel like you're not wrong.
That's true. Sometimes I'll go to Universal. I get free parking.
The one at Universal is actually a true IMAX?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't care that much about IMAX. Though they are, I think they are bringing back Stop Making Sense. I got to try and see that in IMAX. But
I still got to see The Concierge. I didn't even know this was a show until 5 minutes before we started recording. And then now I see there's a talking woolly mammoth character. I'm like, I'm in. This seems great.
For sure. So now you got me talking about IMAX. I was thinking, I think the last time I went to IMAX, I saw Film Red.
There you go.
One of my many Film Red screenings. And it's great because it was loud as fuck. So I don't have to hear anybody talking.
There you go.
Sorry, anime movies just attract that kind of crowd.
Yeah.
They just have to comment on everything. And
that was the worst part about the DC show. Like, just people talking the entire time.
Oh.
See, that's the best part about seeing MCU movies at like 2 p.m. on a weekday, because then you're not seeing like, I went to go see Deadpool and Wolverine a couple days after it had come out, like during the week. And so people weren't screaming out like, oh my God, it's Johnny Storm. Oh my God, Deadpool throughout the whole course of that movie. It was just a nice quiet screener. I sat there silently, didn't see any spoilers for the movie, and I was happy as can be.
I like to call that the unemployment screening.
The unemployment screening. I call it the YouTuber screening. I feel like
no camera rips of Johnny Storm show up on screen and everyone applauding. Sorry for minor spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine, but I realize now I think there was like a set of commercials. I don't know how I saw commercials because I don't watch TV, but they show that on there.
They do. I mean, it's early in the movie, to be fair. It's like the first.
Yeah, it's not really.
Like, No, it's fine.
Yeah, cool. Well, with that out of the way, what do we got in store for this week? Well, we got a manga recap for chapter 1126, Settling the Score. And then we're probably gonna have an anime recap this week with Sam. I hate to say that without confidence, but I think that's going to be happening. If not, tune in next time and we'll catch up on that. And of course, we're going to do Piece Together, where we answer questions, comments, any other queries or theories you might have, and that'll be it. But we do have some minor news, and I can only think of the one person to tell us all about it is our British correspondent, Delaney Jordan. What's going on?
Right, mental
Top
note
of the morning.
Top of the morning. Mental note here to put Rule Britannia, or at least as much as I can put before our YouTube video is going to get taken down. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here from the UK to tell everybody that the OPP is officially British famous. We were featured this week on an article on the BBC called One Piece From Niche Within a Niche to Global Phenomenon, written by Samuel Spencer, published on September 11th of this past week. You know, never forget. And it's basically, the long and short of it is, the entire series has been put on BBC iPlayer, and apparently British people now need One Piece explained to them, which is not surprising, by the way, because everybody in my friend group, maybe barring one or two people, had to have Hayao Miyazaki manually applied to their film watching canon. I had to beg these people, like, just watch Castle in the Sky for God's sake. But our very own Zach Logan has been interviewed for this article by the BBC. And I don't know if I want to go into, I don't want to read the whole thing for you. We've definitely shared it by now, but it's a very interesting rundown, more or less, for folks who probably are not, like, for example, they have to define manga. Like, manga, a term used for a range of Japanese comic books and graphic novels. Like, popular titles of the time included Dragon Ball, about a martial artist on the search for magical orbs, Slam Dunk, about a basketball team, and Doraemon, about a time-traveling robotic cat. So, you know, very, very patiently introducing the concept of manga and anime.
I'm proud that Slam Dunk slid in there along with those other two. That's great.
Yeah.
Slam Dunk for Slam Dunk right there.
Sounds like a middle school paper about, like, I'm writing about my favorite anime.
It does read a bit like that, but it clearly knows its audience. I will say that much. Like, if you're scrolling on the BBC, like the website, like the BBC website, you're probably not someone who knows what One Piece is, and you're probably a bit confused. Like, you know, oh, Gladys, what have they posted on here? It's a funny pirate cartoon. Why the 900 episodes? What's going on? It's just not very patriotic, is it? I will encourage folks to read the article, because obviously it's very, very cool that Zach is like a primary source in this article. Like, out of all the people who they quote, like, most of this article is Zach, which is very, very cool. And he did great. He gave a lot of really great answers for, again, what they were looking for, but I will give him two notes. One, because this is a professionally written article, they do call him by his surname, Logan, frequently, which just has the effect of making him sound like Wolverine.
Nice.
Please,
Like
Mr.
they're
Logan,
interviewing
Awesome.
Wolverine
I love
about
that.
One Piece.
Hey, bub.
Yeah.
I'm about to read the greatest manga to come out of Japan. Started reading it when I was over there fighting the Silver Samurai, bub.
I want to explain to you how the Celestial Dragons are like your own British monarchy. Without
Hey,
getting
Morph, you gotta
censored by
read
your
this.
newspaper.
It's fantastic.
Morph, One Piece was crazy good this week.
Out of my way, Gumbo.
And the other thing is that he does make the Doctor Who comparison, which I appreciate that he knows his audience. And having watched most of Doctor Who, now at least the new batch, he's not wrong to do it. So he did a very good job. And this article is a great primer of One Piece history, I suppose, for the culturally deprived British.
Oh, that's great.
As a fun fact, I don't know if you were about to say this too, Steve. Eagle-eyed listeners may spot a friend of the podcast in the article as well. Dennis Itchnob is somewhere in there. See if you can find him.
And that was at the premiere of the Netflix series at Santa Monica Pier.
So they've been sitting on that for a while then.
Yeah, this is one that they got this from Getty, so who knows?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think the funny thing too is this is not the first time we've seen this, because when they showed off, I believe it was the little video recap of like that I guess Oda filmed himself incognito, where he was just running around and like filming people doing stuff, and this group was in that too. So like they were getting photographed by Getty here to appear in the BBC, and at the same time Oda was sneaky taking pictures of them.
That's crazy.
Amazing.
Well, it's a great article, and also we've been supplied here with an audio promo for it that plays during the credits of Doctor Who. Coming up, Sail the High Seas with Logan, as we talk all about the popular Japanese series One Piece.
We gotta go back and find Logan to fix One Piece.
So from the little I've seen of Doctor Who, or I just get a kick out of those promos during the credits.
My full experience with Doctor Who was, and this is not a joke, how sad is this? I was in college, and the girl that I liked at the time was obsessed with it. So to pretend like I was a fan, before she came over to my apartment, I bought a TARDIS cookie jar and then read the wiki of all of like the characters, I swear. And so she came over and she was like, "What was your favorite episode?" And I was like, "I love the stuff with the fallen angels." And she's like, "What? Which episode are you talking about? What is it?" And I was like, "Oh, the one with the TARDIS in it. Like, I love when the TARDIS shows up." And I just lucked out because the episode that had come out around that time was like where David Tennant, he turns into Matt Smith, right? Isn't that like a thing he like turns into Matt Smith? And I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. That sequence where David Tennant digivolves was just like unbelievable. I was crying during it. That whole thing was just amazing. She was really impressed, and we dated for a year, which is pretty amazing. So the lie actually turned out to be successful. So kids, if you're out there and you like somebody who likes something that you have no experience with, just buy a cookie jar based around that franchise. You're going to be good to go.
Cheating works.
Hear that, everyone? Pretend to be someone you're not.
That's right. That's right.
Alrighty. Okay. Well, that was a nice little surprise. Go read that article. Other than that, let's get into the manga recap.
Woo!
Let's do it.
This is the manga recap, chapter 1126, Settling the Score. And this week we have another continuation of Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage. It's volume 14. The girls from the soba shop in Kuri have gone missing. And this is Yamato enjoying a nice bowl of soba with what's her face? Chuji's friend.
Osome.
I love how I remember the Osome. Thank you. I remember the damn mouse more than the girl. But I just like how it's every situation is like, Yamato, please. Like Yamato is like the Godfather walking through town.
Yeah.
That's
Don
a
Yamato. Yeah.
Don
Nice
Yamato.
Sedona.
So everyone's just asking Yamato to help. So
I'm assuming the disappearance has something to do like with the disappearance of the carpenter guy from last
Minatomo,
week
yeah.
too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and that shadowy figure maybe that
Yep.
was running off into the brush.
Yep.
And also perfect reminder to show you that the scale of with Yamato and an average height person, Yamato be tall.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because like this is the soba shop. It's not the dango shop, because wasn't that Was that a Dango shop? I'm trying to remember where we first met like Okiku and stuff, and Luffy and Zoro were sitting there.
Where they fought like the sumo wrestler guy?
Yeah, early in Act 1, and it was a very similar setup where they had the little bench with the umbrella over it and stuff. But I'm not sure if it's the same place.
Nice.
But
Sorry,
something's definitely going on though. That's because we've had a couple things now where it's like, okay, something's going on here, and then the next week it's a completely different event is happening. So I'm gonna see what the deal is with that soon.
My theory is Godatsu's building a new hot spring house. Is what this is.
Oh, I would love that. That'd be great.
They're all just hanging out there. They're having too much fun to leave.
I still feel like this has to culminate in some way with like Old Wano and Pluton there. Just because with where we are in the story and with Elbaf and moving into the final saga, I just feel like that was sort of the big thing left over from the end of Wano Country was like that introduction. And I feel like having all of these important characters from throughout Wano Country kind of disappearing and ultimately, Yamato going on the pilgrimage could totally end us up in like old Wano Country. And that could maybe, kickstart us directly into whatever's going to happen with that character in the main story. Because now we see Oda is willing to do it, right? We saw that with the stuff with Egghead Island and like with Pudding, where you saw the cover story and then at the exact same time, like boom, in the chapter, you're seeing more of it fleshed out. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
I also wonder if we're gonna have like a villain return in this cover story, because we saw that King and Queen ended up in Udon.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened to any of the others. Free game, but just something I thought on the spot here, because I think everyone else, or is dead or in prison, I guess. And King is fine, I guess, even after getting attacked by Ryokugyu. But
they're all
Queen
fine.
Queen still might be very thin, though.
Queen's got to reunite with his kid now. Now that we think apparently Frankie's his kid, it's like we got to see something there.
We,
the collective we, Steve. I don't mean you and me.
I'm sorry. Are we French?
I'm saying we, as in the collective community on Twitter, seems to have decided that based on that information, Frankie is now the son of Queen. I am not part of the we, and you could choose to not be part of the we. We. Je parle un peu de français, right?
Roger's using the royal we.
Right, the royal we. Thank you.
Yeah. I forget. Did we discuss this at all on the podcast?
The Viva card thing? I don't think we have. We don't really cover the new Viva card releases.
No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it since like we didn't like devote any discussion to it. Has anyone ever considered it's Weevil?
That 100% makes more sense. With Mads, the connection with Stussy, with, you literally see Queen as a younger
it's our
character
own Mr.
with them.
Sparkle. It's Miss Bucking
Yeah.
and Queen, and then when, when we motion tween them over each other, it just makes Edward Weevil.
The only thing that honestly
and then
gave
like
it
a white beard
credence
mustache
is I saw right after that stuff had come out and was like trending, I saw Greg post something where it was like, oh, this kind of makes some sense. And I saw that and I was like, oh, canon. It's canon.
I don't think Greg knows anything factually speaking.
Right.
He likes to comment on stuff.
I do like the Weevil thing though. I actually think that would make a lot more sense.
I just like took a look at Queen again, and I'm like, hey, he does just, I think they even have like the same nose and all that stuff. So,
and again, Stussy, it's like they were both there on Mads. So
exactly, yeah. Instead of like Frankie, I don't know, not to talk about it too much, but I was just like, well, what's the point of revealing that in a piece of merchandise?
Right?
100%.
It kind of feels empty.
Let's say though also that reveal is like a strong word for it, because no character is named. It's just like Queen had a son or had a child or something.
Sure.
We have no idea. There's no specifics.
Right. Anyway, without further delay, Dan, why don't you take us into the first couple pages of this chapter?
I got to paint a word picture here. Oh fuck. No pressure. So we start things out with my favorite giant, my favorite brand name cereal, Oimo and Kashi. We are back on the Viking ship on the way to Elbaf, and Kashi says, after we parted ways with you folks at Water 7, And Oimo is finishing his sentence in a true power couple dynamic. We wanted to catch a glimpse of the captain, so we headed for Little Garden. The next panel has Luffy doing what we like to call the twofer, and he's eating 2 big pieces of meat at the same time. And he says, "You did, huh? Makes sense you'd be curious. It'd been 100 years, right?" We get this nice little shot of the ruckus going on the ship, and Oimo and Kashi continue. When we showed up, wouldn't you know it, but they were beating on each other with bare fists. Ga-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. And I'm assuming this is Nami asking the questions here, but she says, "What? Why?" The giants continue, "Yeah, our weapons were busted." We get this amazing spread of all the giants having a good old time watching their little normal-sized friends having a nice little banquet there. And Kashi says, "Do you think either of these old goats is going to be done in by simple punches?" And Brogy says, "Da-pa-pa-pa-pa-pa. Nope, sure don't. And the only way to finish a proper duel is death." And Dory says after that, "In the end, they had to put a stop to it, and we made our way back to Elbaf together to get new weapons." We pan down to Nami, who's looking up inquisitively, who says, "To get new weapons? You're going to keep fighting?" And Dory and Brogy in unison say, "Of course!" Nami, choosing the right path here and dismissing it, takes a big old swig from her tankard and says, "Unbelievable." And Usopp, as tended to do, says, "Come on, Nami, did you learn nothing at Little Garden?" Luffy backing him up, saying, "That's right, tell her, Usopp." Sanji, making an observation, says, "This stuff's strong," raising the tankard up to one of the giants. The giant responds, saying, "It's called absinthe. This spirit is known as the Green Fairy." And I guess the giant saying this, or is that Frankie?
Yeah.
Giant is saying, "It can make you hallucinate, so watch out." Gya. I should have known about the laughter at the end there.
Yeah, actually, note about the laughter. I think one of the giants, the guy who's going da pa 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 at the top is I don't know. It might be the guy with the huge turkey neck, maybe.
The guy with he looks like the
one who
Frenchman
looks
in that
great.
episode of The Simpsons, or what they have like the
Asterix and Obelix.
Yeah, the very very Muppety kind of looking one.
Yeah.
Perhaps, I don't know. There's no tails on it, but they all seem to have their own unique laughs. Yeah, even the ants get to feast here. They're just crawling all over the food. All right, let's see who's next.
Then moving on, Delaney.
Delaney.
You're next.
Yep. So we get a classic montage of Straw Hat partying. We've got Luffy with a big ass hunk of meat. Lilith and Robin eating large bits of meat as well. We've got Sanji and Usopp partying while Brook shreds on his shark tar. Frankie says the line, Bart. Chopper's also there. Everyone's having a grand old time, getting drunk. Music's playing, everyone's laughing, and
I'm sorry, who's saying the line part? I'm sorry.
Frankie is.
He's doing the thing.
Did we mention Luffy's also doing the thing?
Luffy, is he doing the thing?
Yeah.
No, Chopper's doing the thing. Oh,
Luffy's doing the Nika
yeah.
pose, right? Where he's jumping with the meat.
Oh,
That's just his thing.
that's what you meant.
It's just his thing now. That's just what he does.
That's just what he do. And amidst the din of all the partying, Bonnie is sitting there and she says, "We finally got the chance to see it together." And we pan up to see Kuma smiling, and she just giggles and kicks her feet as they cast out on the giant ship, and she says, "The horizon at sea." And we pan away from the boat to move on to 1 month earlier at the island of Gartel in the New World. An incident occurred, and there's some chitter-chattering from said island. In the territory of Red-Haired Shanks, Emperor of the Sea, the pirate known as Bartolomeo the Man-Eater burned the flag of the red-haired pirates and delivered a blow to their honor. And we see a flashback to said event, the flag burning, Bardo standing on the tower over the crowd.
I forget. We saw this, right? In the
cover story.
In the cover
Yeah,
story.
we saw it in
Okay,
the
that's
cover
what I
story.
thought. Yeah.
Okay. And we cut back to the present day, where Bartolomeo is kneeling in front of his crew, in front of Shanks and the rest of the red-haired pirates. And Shanks says, "If I allow you to get away with this, then all the other islands and pirates to whom I've given this flag will lose the faith they've put into it, and my friends will be subject to danger." And Bardo says, "You're right about that."
I do want to say, I think it's a nice touch, going back to the previous page, that Bonnie has gone back to her original childhood form to share this nice moment with Kuma. Like it's really just kind of reinforces the daddy daughter thing going on here, that she's age appropriate for who she really is, and I think that's a nice since we've seen her in her whatever teenage form or early 20s form or whatever it is for so often.
Yeah, as the Egghead arc's been winding down, I've also noticed that they've been using that form much more frequently, and that's pretty cool.
Because she feels safe now. She's with her dad again.
Exactly, yeah.
Everything's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
God bless her.
You know who's not safe, though? Bartolomeo on this next page. So Bartolomeo, you could see him slamming his head down to the ground, deeply regretting having sold that unofficial merchandise. Toei's coming after him, Shueisha's coming after him, and
Nintendo's got him. Yeah.
Nintendo's got him, exactly. And Bartolomeo slamming his head down, going, "I'm sorry for what I've done. I wasn't thinking about none of that when I did this. I was stupid, an ignorant thing that I did." And you see the other people chattering on the island as Shanks looks, kind of scary. He's got his eyes kind of blacked out a little bit. I wouldn't want to mess with that dude. And you've got one of Shanks' crew saying, "This is a bottle of deadly poison. You need to go and make Straw Hat Luffy take this within the next month," as he hands this little vial of poison to Bartolomeo, who's very confused.
I'd be damned if I didn't mention Brodsky favorite Hongo.
Hongo, okay.
With the poison for Luffy. Luffy's poison.
Luffy's poison.
The poison specifically made
for
Luffy.
Right.
Very nice. So no squirrels. There were no squirrels on Bartolomeo's back as he responds, "Huh?" to the response of seeing the Luffy poison. But Hongo continues to explain that it causes excruciating pain, massive hemorrhaging, and ultimately death. And says that your boss has to pay for your crimes. As Gambia, who we haven't seen in a while, is screaming in the background going, "But why would Mr. Luffy have to do that?" And without a second of hesitation, Bartolomeo chomps down with his, very sharp teeth and his nose ring fluttering in the sky. Hongo, very surprised by this, exclaims, "Whoa!" And you could see in one fell swoop, Bartolomeo holding the vial in his mouth, glugs the entire thing down as you got Gambia and the rest of the Bartolomeo pirates going, "No, boss, what are you doing?" And "Don't drink it, boss. It'll kill you. You'll die. You're going to spit up blood. You're going to die." And Bartolomeo's just huffing and puffing through all this going, "You know what? I'm okay with that. It's fine." Huffing through it. Ben Beckman and Shanks very shocked by this, also somewhat looking a little bit concerned as Bartolomeo exclaims, "Mr. Luffy didn't give us no permission for the ritual cups we drank from and the flag that we use. It's unofficial merchandise just like the podcast you're listening to. This ain't got nothing to do with him. Please don't tell him I did this. I don't want to waste him to waste a single precious second of his time on the likes of me. This is just one of those things that happens. A common thug stands up to an emperor and gets slaughtered for it. There's nothing more. Nothing less." And you can see all this stuff is happening as he is just tears rolling down his eyes, snot bubbling out of his nose, dripping off of his nose ring, blood dripping off of his teeth, crying, having resigned himself to the fate that he is about to die from the poison that he drank, made for Luffy's poison.
That's quite a speech.
That poison.
That's right.
Yes, that poison. Shanks,
Delaney, you're up next.
Shanks is completely impassive, as Bardo admits.
This is emotionless. This stare from Shanks.
He quite literally looks like a Hunter x Hunter character. He does. He looks like Frollo staring somebody down upon the Requiem.
Bardo tearfully admits, I sure wish I could have seen Mr. Luffy be the king of the pirates, though. I screwed up really bad, damn it all. You gotta carry on after I'm gone, boys. And all the Bardo pirates scream and cry, boys! And Bardo leans back and prepares to die, and he thinks, farewell, my friends. And then he just burps. And that's it.
Bartolomeo, he just burped.
He just burped. A bit confused. Not what anyone
Put
expected.
that parallel to the Roger laughed panel, and it just says Barto burped.
That's
Bardo
exactly what I'm going for.
And it takes a second to process it. And we hard cut to the ship booking it the fuck away from the island. Complete frenzy. Bardo screaming, whoa, they let us go! Go, 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 get us out of here! And the crew is awestruck. So if that wasn't poison, then he wasn't trying to kill Mr. Luffy after all, was he? Bardo agrees, I thought an Emperor of the Sea would be more bloodthirsty. Guess he's a bigger softy than I realized. And we swing back over to the Red Hair Pirates, where, God, what's his nuts?
That's Beckman, Yasop?
I'm coming in
That's
to help.
Backman.
That's
Backman,
Backman.
yeah.
That's
Thank you. I knew it wasn't Yasop. I know like 5 names. Beckman asks, what's that smirk for, Captain? And Shanks is laughing, and he says, I mean, doesn't it feel good knowing how much they care for Luffy? And Yasop takes the stage, and he says, all right, Captain, step aside. Every action has a price to be paid. And he cocks the gun, and he aims it at the Bartolomeo pirate ship, which fucking explodes in a fiery blast. And the caption reads, the Bartolomeo pirate ship sinks in the waters off of Gartel Island. Status unknown, as the Luffy head from the mast falls into the water.
not the going Luffy go.
So, are we all in agreement that the next time we see the Bartolomeo pirates, they're going to have the 1,000 Nika, and it's going to be like 1,000 Sunny ship, and it's all Gear 5 decked out? I feel like that's where this is going.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you said they were going to form a new alliance with every fucking pirate that's been sunk lately.
Bardo and Kid just meet up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shanks is the local battleship champion.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shanks basically said, I forgive you, but my Tommy gun don't.
Yeah, very mafia feeling from, but I'll talk about it more when we get to the end of the recap. Anyway, we go to Pirate Island, full lead. We see the stitched up big skull face that Pizarro is possessed, but we hear, what the hell happened here? While I was away, Pizarro! And we hear, yeah, I know it looks bad, but, and we have this panel here of Blackbeard holding like it looks like
the whisker.
It looks, yeah, the mustache of Pizarro.
Yeah.
But, like I'm trying to think of what like material he's coming out because it looks wood.
Yeah, I think it's wood.
Yeah, the big wooden face.
Oh, yeah, because
Pizarro
it's coming out
here.
of the floorboards. Yeah.
Yeah, from under the floorboards. Wow, that didn't sound like Edgar Allan Poe. That just sounded like Paul Lynde.
Yeah, that was Paul Lynde. Yeah.
Quote the raven, nevermore. Anyway, Blackbeard says, you heard about how the whole world is about to get in on the act, didn't you? The poneglyphs ain't just the knowledge of the underworld anymore. The 4 emperors are about to have a full-scale scramble for the stones. Even the government and navy are getting involved. You can't win. I like you can't win if you don't take them seriously. And the key piece to all that is Kobe. So how do you let him get away? And Pizarro's like, yeah, I'm sorry, Teach. I'm sorry. Give me a minute. I'll tell. Oh yeah, because he does cat putts. I'll tell you the story. So first things first, we also let Mori get away. This is interesting. We'll talk about this maybe like a little bit later. And then we cut wide, and San Juan Wolf is repairing the town. He says, like, where did the store go again? Like the Lego, like the adult Lego collectors. Maybe I jumped ahead here.
Yeah.
Their Lego City table collapsed, and now they're trying to put it all back together. And he says, where did the store go again? And his ass meanwhile is just bumping into other buildings because we hear more to the left, and someone's like, your butt broke one. But we actually teach is still yelling at Pizarro. It's like, Moria got away too. And then like all these random schmucks yell out to their Commodore, and they say, we're ready to go at a moment's notice. We know you'll be the man who claims the One Piece Blackbeard, because they're just like all stereotypical pirates. Conquer the world for us, yarr. And they're riled up. They're ready to go after the events that transpired here. I don't think we have any interesting text on any jackets this week, but
no Don Krieg and no Gin. I know we saw them during the full lead portion of the reactions. They're nowhere to be seen here. Maybe killed off camera.
Well, I would be very disappointed if they were gassing up Blackbeard at this moment, like all these other guys are.
Yeah. They were in the building that San Juan's butt broke.
There you go. There you go.
Sorry.
That's the headcanon.
Yeah.
But crazy that Kobe is the key to all this. Is Kobe the new the chosen one now?
Kobe's gonna open Kingdom Hearts.
He's the key master.
And on the next page, we get a really cool kind of landscape shot here.
Sorry, not to butt in real quick. Just amazing use of depth in this.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I love this so much, and scale as well.
Because they're hanging out on, I guess it's like an open balcony or something, and it is the Blackbeard pirates and several of the principal members. We've got Shiryu, Blackbeard, Vasco Shot. Kuzan is kind of front and center, facing away from us, and Pizarro is leaning out of the pillar. The stone pillar on the left, as Burgess is reclining against it, and then San Juan Wolf is just peering in through this kind of window opening on the side, and you got bottles littering the ground and stuff. And Doc Hugh is reclining on the couch. He's kind of hard to see, but he's right behind Kuzan. And so Blackbeard is hearing the chants of the crowd. He's like, hear that? Morale's sky high out there. We got to take advantage of that. So repeat that for me, Kuzan. You let Kobe get away, but... And Kuzan says, but we caught Garp instead. Amazing. And Pizarro is off the hook. He's like, see, teach. It's an upgrade in the end. And then Kuzan goes on to explain that, to be honest, I thought I killed him, but he ended up alive instead. Blackbeard says, it's a hell of a feat, Kuzan. Who else could possibly take him down? Kuzan says, it took all of us together and we just barely managed. And actually, this is a good thing that you gave me this page, because if you will indulge me for a minute, I just want to remark on some particular choices from Oda in this dialogue. And I want to highlight this. I thought I killed him, but he ended up alive instead. So it's a little bit of an odd phrasing. And, when it comes to writing dialogue, there is, there's like perfunctory or very practical dialogue where it's just kind of telling you things that, are pretty straightforward to move you along logically through the conversation. And then there's like creative dialogue where you're choosing very particular words to like paint a picture, or to, inventing an idiom or, a metaphor of some kind, using a combination of words that no one else has ever written before. It's just unique to this character or something. And Oda does like to do that sort of thing. And he had a very particular word choice where when Kuzan says, I thought I killed him, but he ended up alive instead, you could translate it as like, I tried to kill him, but he survived. And I think from like the 1,000-yard view, those kind of look like the same thing. But Oda's like choice of words was a little strange, where it's more like, the way that I have it here is like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I killed him, or like I was intending to kill him, and yet somehow he is still alive. In a way that it could suggest possibly two different things, or maybe even both, which is that either it's reinforcing Garp's like almost superhuman vitality, right? That like even Kuzan just assumed that he had the killing blow, and then he turns around and then, oh no, Garp is still alive somehow. It's almost like you blink and then he's alive again. Or it is possibly, Kuzan is telling a story here where it's like, oh yeah, I mean, gosh, I thought I killed him, but somehow he's still alive. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. Or in other words, setting up a kind of a front to explain why he did not, kill his mentor when he had the chance. Because of course you always have to question these things with Kuzan, where his true allegiances are at this point in time. But it was a very an interesting and kind of unique choice of words. So that's how I kind of represented that there in that in the choice of English dialogue. But the scene continues. Burgess is saying, the wind's in our favor now. Wee ha 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 ha. And Blackbeard just out of nowhere yanks Pudding to his side under his arm. And he says, and then we've got the three-eyed girl on top of that. Hey, patch me into Lafitte. And Pudding is, gasping and, grunting. She looks very unhappy about this situation as she is held prisoner.
See, I can't respect this because Blackbeard here is just coming in here and just pilfering all of the card game booster boxes, and he's getting all the secret rares.
Pudding and Garp.
Yeah, Garp. Yeah, he's getting kind of greedy. He's got
Get
Kuzan
a
as
job.
well.
Stay away from her.
I did like Delaney in a conversation between us. I liked equating, like really hoping the outcome of this is the same thing that happened to Jabba the Hutt, and you posted Leia choking out Jabba.
Oh yeah, Slave Leia with the chain.
I gotta say,
barge.
Jabba the Hutt kind of looks adorable getting choked because he's just got those big little cat eyes. He's just like, oh.
Yeah.
He's got those eyes
tongue.
they put on Beanie Babies now to make them look cute.
Oh
Together
yeah,
at the grocery store.
Oh, for sure. To be fair, looking at that panel, Vasco shot like with the skull chain around the neck and then like the slimy kind of slug tongue sticking out, like Pudding has a shot. I don't think Pudding's going to Jabba the Hutt Blackbeard, but Vasco shot maybe.
Yeah,
I can see him.
That'd be
I can
nice.
see that tongue wagging back and
Yeah,
forth,
right.
signaling his demise.
And Oda does like his Star Wars. We know this. So.
yeah.
Yeah. I have a quick question for Steven before moving on.
Sure.
What is the what's the character on Shiryu's back? Does it say wind?
Oh, that's like it's well, it's I would say it's jail, but it's I want to say that's also part of hell. It's like it's a kanji that is used in both terms. And I think that's kind of partially why Oda had Impelled Down be a hell themed arc as well, because there's an easy sort of overlap there. Yeah. And I guess I'm doing the next set of pages too.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep. Go right ahead.
Zach set up these pages for us, so we had no choice in the matter. All right. Headquarters of Umit Shipping Company. Okay. Show of hands. How many of you remember Umit?
I actually did because of Dufeld, weirdly enough. Dufeld was in the Mads flashback we
That's
got a
right.
little while ago.
Yeah.
And I went back and looked at all the other underground characters because obviously Stussy and Big News ended up becoming pretty important,
Huge,
big characters. So I was thinking, maybe some of the other ones are going to pop up. And so I remembered Umit, actually. I was proud of myself.
Yeah, who could forget the shipping magnate whose catchphrase was "ship a dip dip."
I didn't have my camera on, but I want to let you know I did not raise my hand.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your honesty, Dan.
Du Feld, party of one. Du Feld, party of one.
Search party.
So yeah, we don't actually see Umit, but Lafitte is at the headquarters of his shipping company, and we can see this is a very detailed scene here where we got lots of buildings and some ships, and it appears that there are some fires going unchecked at this moment, and a lot of commotion down below. And Lafitte picks up, "Yes, Commodore? What are the revolutionaries up to?" So he is, it would seem we are in the midst of some clandestine action by the revolutionaries. Lafitte says they seem to be quite serious about attacking provisions. The gondolas at Redport continue to break down, and they don't seem to work at all when they actually have food on board. So clearly there's some sabotage going on. We have a little vision of one of the gondolas trying to ascend from the Redport along the Red Line, and it is just exploding. And then we have this little diagram here showing the relationship between Marijoa and Navy HQ. He says it's bad enough that food shipments have been cut off from many companies, but even when the Navy secures a route, the gondolas crash. And so you have a bunch of ships that are trying to make their way to Navy HQ and Marijoa, and they all have X's on them to show that they are being intercepted and sunk and all sorts of stuff. And so now we see Lafitte perched on the edge of a roof here. He says, if we end up with any of those celestial dragons actually starving, then we'll really be living in unprecedented times. I love it. So, yep, Lafitte, millennial, confirmed, living in unprecedented times. And Blackbeard says, well, stop enjoying the show and get to prepping. And Lafitte says, already on top of it. And now we go to the sea outside of Pirate Island, where we see one of the classic log raft style ships, and it is Katerina Devon. She's saying, "Pizarro, we're back." Yeah, it's Devon, and she just says, "Come pick us up." And then he literally stretches his hand out from the island and picks up the ship. What is it? That was amazing. I was glad that worked out, like language wise, that you could just literally picks it up. And he's like, "What's with you and refusing to pull the ship into harbor? I'm injured, you know." He says with the giant bandages across the cracks on the skull there, and a voice which belongs to Caribou's, "Yeah!" And then this amazing, oh boy, I guess I really made my own bed here. Caribou says, "Whoa, we're in big trouble now, big trouble. A gigantic monstrosity has plucked us up right off of the Whitecaps as I live and breathe. Sir, madam, do something. Spare little old me from this dreadful fate." So he's just going on and on and on. And Devon is like, "Oh, would you shut up already?" And Pizarro says, "Is that the guy you brought?" And Van Ogre says, "Yep." So they're very casual, and he's just completely losing his shit in true Caribou fashion. Very extra.
I do like that we got the fanboy of Luffy and the fanboy of Blackbeard in the same chapter. I think it's quite nice.
Yeah.
All right. I think on the next 2 pages, the closing 2 pages of the chapter. So 2 days have passed since leaving Egghead. And it says, even the great giant ship, the Great Eric, has yet to reach Elbeth. And you could see everyone sort of groggy, waking up saying, how could this happen? We drank ourselves into a stupor and woke up to find that the Sunny is gone. We can't find it. And meanwhile, you see Lilith, Bonnie, Kuma, Jimbei, Robin, Frankie, Dory, Broggy, and Brooke are all still present on the giant ship. And you see a lot of them still going, we got to get back to the ship. We can't go back to Elbaf without it. And then Robin contemplating that maybe the ship got chomped to bits by a fish. And Frankie, yelling at her going, this is not funny. This is not the time. You've seen how big the fish around this sea are. Also, is there like significance with the flower sticking out of his Speedo? Like, what's going on with that? Why does he have a flower in his Speedo? Frankie.
That's there for me.
That's there for you. Okay, well, there you go. All right. He left a rose for Delaney. Lovely. And it said,
"Oh, that's not a flower."
Oh, that's not a flower?
That's just the bottom. That's just the bottom corner of his jacket. And
Yeah.
since there's like that white.
Oh, I thought it looked like he's
Robin,
just
yeah.
stuck a flower in there for some reason. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I wouldn't put it past him.
Roger,
Oh, I
am
outed
also
myself for
desperate
no reason
Frankie
whatsoever.
Robin.
Amazing.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So meanwhile, all the characters, the latter half of the Straw Hat crew, right, the non-Alabasta team, screams, "Where did you go, Luffy?" As we fade to black, and you see a mysterious voice saying, "Nami, hey, wake up!" And Nami, rubs her eyes, says, "Ugh, I think I have a hangover." And you can see her in what I'm assuming is the first of many of the Elbath outfits that we're going to end up seeing, with the little ruffles of feathers on her shoulder, and then the little fuzzy boots. And as she looks up at the ceiling, she notices she sees in what appears to be a giant Lego castle with little bricks on the floor, and the little, classic Lego flowers, the Lego chandelier, the little barrel with the little Lego thing sticking out of it. And I think Nami just says the same thing we're all thinking when we see a One Piece character in a castle made of Legos, going, "Huh?" And that's it. To be continued. One Piece 1126 end.
Well, I don't want to jump the gun here, but allow me to be the first to tell the Straw Hats, "Welcome to Lego Island."
Yeah, right.
I hope they get some delicious pizza. I hope they go for a ride on some of the jet skis. Just don't, Sanji, I know you'll feed anybody. Just please don't feed the Brickster.
The Brickster.
Do it for me, the Brickster. Well, my job is done.
I wouldn't have made that reference on this podcast. Who am I kidding? Yeah, I would. But I was just
I was
surprised
like,
how
what
many
are you
people
talking
remember
about?
that
We love
game.
Lego Island.
I was like, when so many people remember that, I'm like, oh, okay.
my
can
God.
shoot my
Too
shot.
much
That
about
era,
Ricky Rooney.
that era of Lego games was honestly peak. Like Lego Island was very good on PC. You got the Lego Racers game that was on N64
Lego Racer,
as
yeah, I
well.
was
Yeah.
going to say Lego
Yeah,
Racer
dude,
was
Nintendo
pretty good.
64 era Lego games slept.
Yeah.
Well, fuck One Piece. Let's talk about Lego game music, because
That's
honestly,
right. There you go.
I mean, if this is the start of some sort of collaboration, it's the start of a beautiful friendship.
That's right.
I would say. But that does it for this chapter. A lot of pretty monumental, at least in my opinion here. A lot going on here. Where do we even begin? Dan, you haven't been on the show in a while. Why don't you start us
heck.
off? What do you think of this chapter?
Again, like Oda just has this amazing, uncanny ability to leave us on such a cliffhanger. And yeah, like some really great exposition into seeing like what is going on post the revelation of the Stellas and the aftermath of Egghead. It's really cool to get more of a peek behind the curtain. Like very small crumbs of what is happening with the Blackbeard pirates and how they're getting set up for things now that the revelation of what is actually happening to the world as a whole has been laid out. And getting Hongo screen time. Like, what's not to celebrate about that? Like, like this is never a position I thought I would see Shanks in, like really having to flex himself in this way. Especially since most of the scenes that we've seen of Shanks in the past, with the exception of the kid interaction, like, he's just a guy that vibes and everyone just takes super seriously and doesn't mess with. And now we're actually seeing him take action against somebody else, like as far as like another pirate crew, again, outside of the kid instance. So really cool to see like Bartholomew like get the consequences of his actions, and be interesting to see how that settles. Other than that, like, man, every time I see Pizarro, it's hard not to think about C-Lab 2021, just with the way that like his name is said. That's not really an important plot point, but that's
He's helping.
yeah,
He's
Pizarro,
helping.
Pizarro.
He's helping.
I love the
Don't
island guy.
Why
But
don't we? Is the way we're gonna feed him is by giving him a peanut?
yes, you get me. But
I
I'm
watched a lot of television.
yeah, same. But I'm really curious how this shakes out as far as like the cliffhanger for where the other Straw Hat members are being placed. Like, I'm always kind of apprehensive when the crew gets split up, but it's kind of inevitable at this point in the story. There's so many juggling pieces and so many different pieces on the game board that Oda is setting up. Like, he's got to get them all into exact position. So I'm trying to hold my theories in check, especially with seeing the Lego bricks on that last panel. But yeah, like I'm real excited to see where things go. Another banger of a chapter and some good screen time with characters we haven't seen in a good while. And then, yeah, all in all, very good.
Nice. Roger, what did you think of this chapter?
Yeah, I mean, I also think I loved this. I think I'm actually in agreement with you that this felt like pretty monumental with everything that happened. I feel like, actually tying in, seeing what's going on with Shanks, seeing what's going on with Blackbeard, sort of the fallout of the stuff with Kuzan and Garp. I'm really glad that you brought up that thing, Stephen, about like the he somehow ended up alive thing, because that's also kind of like how I read that when I was reading that scene, is the idea that like, yeah, he's almost covering for keeping him alive. It's like Saul's still alive. We're probably going to see him at some point during Elbaf, so no huge shocker to see Garp there as well. But yeah, this whole ending bit with the Lego castle, I have no idea what's happening here. My assumption is that she's inside of like literally a toy castle of like a kid in Elbaf, right? Like she ended up somehow in like the playset of some giant kid, or like Loki. Maybe Loki is a brick fruit user who's a Lego otaku. I have no idea, but wherever this ends up going, I really dug that last bit. The only thing I will say, because I feel like I need to say it, is that I don't love the separation of the Straw Hats thing again. Like, I understand the story purposes for it. I get it, where you need to sort of focus on one group of characters over the other. But I feel like this has happened so much post time skip. And I'm just like, for once, I want to see Jinbei just like hanging out with the crew in the early part of an adventure, like doing anything. Brooke too. I feel like Brooke kind of didn't really do much in Egghead at all. And I feel like separating them again, I'm just hoping that at some point they get back together sooner rather than later. I'd rather not go through like half of Elbaf with the crew still separated. My assumption is that they'll probably be again together sooner rather than later, just because at some point, like Dory and Broggy, they have to get back to Elbaf proper. But overall, yeah, I thought the entire Bartolomeo Shanks scene, I think, is brilliant. I really did not think we were going to get that full interaction. I thought that was going to be something that would be just off screen. So the fact that it's actually like made a prominent portion of this chapter was great. And yeah, and all the stuff with Blackbeard as well. I feel like a lot of you touched on it during like the conversation with Pizarro, but just like all the weird stuff, the face coming out of the floorboards and him literally picking up the ship with the stone hand. Also, the weird thing with like Lafitte, almost every time that we see that character is doing something in or around Marijoa, which I find interesting that Blackbeard sort of has this one dude who's sort of there on the inside, always sort of like maneuvering around what's going on with the Celestial Dragons, which I think is kind of neat and reporting back. So yeah, overall, I just think really awesome chapter overall. Great art, great dialogue, funny moments, and an exciting cliffhanger for the beginning of Elbaf. We're here. We're actually here. We're at Elbaf.
We're somewhere. Delaney, what did you think of this chapter?
I had an interesting time with it. I'm always a bit apprehensive with these chapters where it feels like Oda is just kind of, for lack of a better term, screaming at you. Because we basically had what could have been like 3 major interstitial plot beats thrown into one like 15-page chapter, which is a bit daunting, but obviously like I'm quite engaged. Shanks blowing through the supernovas, as someone who was never a huge fan of the supernovas, continues to be extremely entertaining, and it helps kind of keep things focused. But I liked this one in particular because the last 2 were just sort of wiping the floor with them, whereas this had a bit more insight into, it was a bit more personal what Shanks was doing with Bardo.
Well, don't get it confused with sorry, I don't want to assume, don't get it confused with Law, because that was Blackbeard.
That's been like just an overall thing where it's been.
And Barto wasn't a supernova, but he's part of like the worst generation.
Yeah.
Okay, I looked it up on the wiki, Steve, before anyone could actually me on the podcast.
If it says Bartolomeo, if Bartolomeo's a supernova, they
he
wrong.
said he counted. So
Aren't Bartolomeo and Cavendish both considered like rookie supernovas, right? Like they were the next generation of them. I could have sworn when they were introduced in Dressrosa.
Cavendish was an established pirate before.
No, I know. I could have sworn. I actually think Delaney's right here though, because I could have sworn there was a thing
probably
in
some
Dressrosa.
fever card shit.
Maybe it could be just like Frankie and Queen. It could be.
Yeah,
that's just what I'm going to say for now on. Now, just some
Beaver card shit.
I'm just going to sit with the fact that out of all the people who said I'm right, it's the guest on the episode, and we'll just leave that there.
I don't know. It's some Beaver card shit. What do you want me to say?
I like that it didn't say decimated though. I liked that the Bartolomeo pirates, it said their ship was destroyed. Whereas Kid, it was like, no, they suck and they're decimated. They're done.
Right. They're fucking dead.
The supernovas now kind of like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know, some sort of rock and roll Hall of Fame thing. It's just like this year, these pirates are going to be
supernovas are the winners of America's Got Talent. Like we hear about them for like a hot minute and then nothing.
That's right.
American Supernova.
Kid was just Ruben Studdard all over again.
That was American Idol.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah,
it is the same thing.
Like I give a shit.
Oh, here we go. Here's the official classification. It's the supernovas are the 11 characters of the worst generation that were introduced in Sabaody. However, the supernovas are considered part of the group of super rookies, of which Bartolomeo, Cavendish, Caribou, and Coraboo are part of. So they are considered, they're a secondary sort of like spin of the supernovas. They're called super rookies. Yeah.
Now,
that sure is what I read before everyone jumped up and decided to yell at me.
I was there with you. I defended you.
You were with me.
I'm
Roger
right there
just
with
corroborated what I read.
You are my Nakama, okay? It's fine.
So the term is super rookie then.
Super rookie, yes.
Okay.
So
super rookie.
I'm technically correct.
I am interested in this plot point of everyone knocking out the super rookies.
Delaney, you'll appreciate this tangent. I had this Ace Attorney style debate, Wicked Witch of the East Bro argument with some friends the other night because they were saying the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, he doesn't know how to read. And a friend and I were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, there's a scene where he says he forgot how to read. And I'm like, that didn't happen in the movie. When did that happen in the movie? Like, I was trying to think of the placement. And then they show me this animated scene, and I'm like, I've never seen this before in my life. What the hell are you talking about? Was it human again? But I was just like, is this like a deleted scene?
Is this from
something?
The Christmas special with the organ voiced by Tim Curry?
That thing, like, it's a part of the Christmas special. But then I was just like, oh, it's during the human again sequence. And I'm like, objection. That wasn't in the original cut of the film.
Right.
Yeah,
that's not a canon song.
He's also not the Beast anymore, if you want to get technical about it.
Correct.
His name isn't Adam, though. There's lots of people who say his name is Adam. That is also not canon.
Well, then what did I draw Adam. That He-Man Beast crossover art for, Roger? If they don't have the same name.
I grew up with that version, Steve, so I understand the confusion, but I also know that it's not.
I bet you love the Morning Report, too.
Oh, fuck off. That is the rudest thing anyone on this podcast has ever said to me. Wow. And I'm not talking to you for the rest of the show.
At some point, you need to draw Zazu in a Big News Morgan's outfit saying this is the Morning Report. That has to be a thing now that exists on the internet. So you've just made your own bed. I don't want to acknowledge
that song.
You've done it.
Meanwhile,
you
Zach
brought
is
it up.
Like, I don't know what they're talking about.
You did this to yourself. We could have just gone through without mentioning Morning Report. You dredged it up.
What can I say?
You did this to yourself.
I'm all about that original cut.
Speaking of perfect princesses, my beautiful angel Pudding, who I love and never ever did anything wrong, is here, so automatically that means this is a good chapter. I also am a big fan of tiny people in Giant Land getting into shenanigans with huge-sized objects, so whatever the fuck is happening with Nami in Legoland, I'm automatically very into and excited to see where that goes. But my main takeaway is that it's canon that the Straw Hats got fucked up on Absinthe, which now tops my go-to thing when I tell people the weird shit that happens in One Piece, which is Hatsune Miku tries to commit Heaven's Gate. So that's a fun development.
Anything else, Delaney?
No, I'm good unless we want to talk about more Disney deleted scenes. Any opinions you want to share on that?
Oh, the Black Cauldron had a whole wealth of...
Oh, okay.
I'm out. My hands are up. You can't see me. I'm out.
The Talking Simpsons guys really like the deleted songs from Pocahontas, and they thought they should have been in the movie. I don't know how you feel about that.
Don't try to pit me against my employers. I'm not doing
Oh yeah, that's right. It's a conflict of interest here.
That's a conflict of interest, and I feel disrespected in this space. No, I'm done.
The worst thing I could have called Delaney was a fan of the Morning Report.
A Morning Report enjoyer. Just call me a slur, man.
So, Steven.
Yes.
What did you think of this chapter?
It felt like in some way, at least at the end, I felt like it felt like a blast to the past of like a classic One Piece. I don't want to say misdirect, but it is kind of that like, oh wait, what is going on here? He's giving us this tantalizing hint without any context to it, and you have to kind of guess for the next week at least what's going on. We'll see if we get a follow up to it, but I do like. It's funny, I didn't even really notice when I was working on the chapter. I wasn't able to see close enough to the details to pick up that it was supposed to be a Lego styled interior. I just thought she was like in another place or like on another ship or in a castle or something like that. And so it wasn't until today that I was like, oh, that is actually like a little, maybe a toy house or something. So yeah, I guess it is appropriate that we were talking earlier about what do they call them? AFOLs, adult fans of Lego. Maybe that's what Loki is.
I'll ask my friends.
yeah. Ask someone. So that was very exciting and intriguing. For right now, I guess I can't really see. Maybe it's just not sinking in yet, but I don't really see it as like oh boy, here we go. For the remainder of this arc, the crew is split apart. What are we going to do? Are they just going to be circling around outside of Elbaf waiting while the rest of them are actually already there or whatever? Who knows? But it feels like to me at least that we'll probably see them reunited fairly soon. That's my hunch.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no evidence to back that up. Otherwise, yeah, it was a fun chapter. I really liked the Shanks and Bartolomeo scene because of the way that it kind of plays.
It's very Japanesey.
Yeah, I mean, it plays with your emotions where it's like, oh yeah, Bardo fucked up and he's in trouble with Shanks now, and like, oh yeah, Shanks is gonna have to do something real nasty here, and it's kind of scary. I don't like to see Shanks.
Luffy's supposed to take responsibility.
Right. I don't like to see Shanks acting like this, and then they're like, oh well, actually no, it was just a test of loyalty, and Shanks isn't really that mean, and then no, actually he is. Like they still, as I said, Barto did fuck up, and he has to pay a price for it.
Yeah, we did see it with Kid too, so
exactly
to be expected.
Yeah.
Like here's the one thing I just want to point out about that. Because like Shank's reaction to Yasopp is intriguing for me here.
What's that?
It just looks like he's caught by surprise by Yasopp kind of walking up here and doing that.
Yeah,
I and like this is just I'm not saying like this is what it is, but I feel like if this is what Shanks intended on, he'd kind of just be like I think he'd be a lot colder in demeanor here, like we've seen him seen him in these previous pages here. But this might be me fantasy booking this.
Yeah, I don't take it as, or I don't see this as like, oh, Yasopp is just like pushing him out of the way to be like, no, I'm ending this and like, unilaterally destroying the Barto crew. I think this is definitely something that Shanks would be like, oh, well, geez, you had to go ahead and do it. I thought we were gonna, toy around with him a little more or something like that. I do think it's fitting for his status that he's not going to let them get away completely scot-free.
Right. I do love to hear that the celestial dragons are actually running out of food. That was great.
Yes, that is.
It's the it's the animated GIF of Donald Glover going good.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know. I guess we are fast approaching the fateful scene where Caribou reveals his secrets to Blackbeard. Unfortunately, and I feel like that's really going to kick off a new chapter of the story going forward. So yeah, there's a lot of forward motion, but he accomplished a lot of different things in this chapter. It's a very economical one, and we even get a nice little tantalizing teaser for what's to come with Elbaf. Obviously, as foreshadowed, we didn't really make too much hay of it, but the absinthe is clearly playing a part in people waking up and in a stupor and finding that the Sunny is gone. They definitely set themselves up for that. But you heard him already. We are joined by Ed, so why don't we ask Ed what he thought of this chapter?
I'll be honest, I didn't really get a chance to read it too closely. I kind of wish I had been here for the recap. I feel like I would understand it a lot better. But I really did like the scenes between Shanks and Bartolomeo. I like the sort of the whole Japaneseness of it, of the superior is supposed to be taking responsibility for the actions of his subordinate, and that they would just give Barto a vial of poison to give it to Luffy because he's supposed to take responsibility for his actions. That's just one of those things that only makes sense in a certain context, and it doesn't make any. It sort of makes sense how Barto reacted, but just refusing to do it. But yeah,
it's certainly not the American way.
No. Not at all.
Anything else, Ed?
I'm not sure what the Blackbeards are going to be doing here. I do like San Wolf having to go back through, like, hey, where does this building go? Oh man.
Yeah.
No, that one goes there. That one goes there. Well, I could chime in at this point now, but like Ed, if you think of anything else, let me know.
Yeah, I'm flipping through the chapter now.
Sure. Yeah. I'll jump in, and if anything else comes to you, feel free. Dense. This is a dense chapter.
Yeah.
In more ways than one. I think just a lot of the events here were just fascinating, and just it felt just like it was addictive reading, or I trying to think of a better phrase than that, but I was just like turning every page, just thinking like, oh, like what's gonna happen next. It was a really fun read this morning.
It felt long.
Yeah. I will say from the get go, some really, really great page layouts and just panel structure in this chapter. I think. Like for the first time in a while, I feel like a lot of these pages are just great to look at without knowing the context of the text.
Mm-hmm.
Just some really cool stuff here. Just so many group shots here with a great sense of scale, because we have all these giants here. It's just very expressive. A lot of really fun poses. I adore the little montage of everyone partying, and then it goes to Bonnie and Kuma before we see that horizon.
I'm surprised that they would reference absinthe by name here.
A little surprising. I mean, because is it technically considered like a French spirit?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was odd to see that show up, but I mean, an interesting choice.
It's technically a poison, even more so than most alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't go for mead. He needed the hallucinogenic effect to take part.
Yeah. But where's the Sunny? Damn it!
Where is that Sunny?
Mm-hmm.
What's that Sunny? I really like when we go to the incident. What's the name? Gartel. I really love like the eye direction of the Bartolomeo pirates and the red-haired pirates, and all kind of just comes to like a center point that is Bartolomeo there on his knees. And yeah, just like some crazy developments here, and just great use of suspense here, like with the fake out poison that was great. I had a feeling, I'm like, there's no way they're doing like, I'm like, first of all, there's no way Bartolomeo is going to deliver this to Luffy, and then I thought, I'm like, he'll probably drink it, and they did. I'm like, oh, and I'm like, no way you're killing off Bartolomeo.
I mean, the effects of the poison are basically, they're describing the effects of like the Ebola virus.
Yeah.
Because what's fascinating about Shanks now is like he is a fearsome guy, and there's just this cloud over his head of whether or not he's gonna be an antagonist to Luffy. He is a rival to Luffy. I mean, that's been established since the beginning. But there's like a lot of this sense of, I could see Shanks doing this, but no, like Shanks isn't that like that heartless, is he?
He already destroyed Kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, there's just such this great sense of unknowing with Shanks. Like he's kind of unpredictable. So that's, but like I couldn't help but my eyes darted when I saw that explosion. I was like, is it like one of those delayed effects? Because I thought, I'm like, that is messed up.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what happened. Yeah.
I mean, my initial reaction when that scene was playing out too was like, Hongo like crouches down and is like, all right, you're gonna give this poison and make Luffy take it. And my first thought was like, man, fuck you, Hongo. What the hell's your problem, dude?
Yeah,
Right.
Hongo.
Hongo just pawn in Game of Life.
You get some real good shots in Film Red, and you think you can act like this?
Yeah,
What the
go
fuck,
back to
my
being
dude?
a nameless
real tough
jobber,
guy, Hongo.
schmuck. Yeah.
Go hang out with
But-
Rockstar.
At least Rockstar, I remember Rockstar's name. You guys had to remind me who this was. I didn't know his name was
I feel
Hongo.
like Hongo, I think, only had like, I feel like these guys only got confirmed names
Last
recently.
couple,
I think it was, like,
last
around
couple of
Film Red.
volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hongo only comes out at Disney Vacation Club events.
There you go, right.
They don't bring him out for the main nights. They bring him out for the
That's
rich
right.
people.
It's if you stay on the boat while it's at port, while you're on the cruise to Castaway Key or something. It's like you have to be on the ship for 1 hour to actually meet him. Otherwise, he's not available.
Only Magic Key members get a chance to meet Hongo.
Hongo is the figment of the Red
One
just sitting
little
on
spark.
Shanks' arm.
No, there's got to be a better equivalent of Figment. Like Figment, it's
man.
like, what's a beloved character that's been downplayed for, decades and decades? When it's like you got some
He's right
gold
there.
right here.
Why are you using him?
Why ain't she using them? Yeah,
Scott Gabon, man.
that's me and Frankie and Egghead.
Also, my only problem with Yasop shooting Bartholomew's ship, what the fuck did he hit? Like it's Bartholomew's just like, okay, guys, put that extra canister of gasoline on the back of the ship.
This is what we get for putting
telling
all
me
the
that-
red barrels on the top of the ship. Yeah.
Right.
Are you telling me this is you're telling me this is the work of a magic exploding bullet?
I still feel like
and to the left.
I know we talked about it earlier, but I feel like that destruction of the ship and them saying status unknown and like not saying that it's like the Bartolomeo pirates got decimated just really strongly feels to me like, oh, this is our little clue into like when we eventually see the Thousand Sunny equivalent for them, right? Because it was always the going Luffy. And I feel like with everything that's been happening with Luffy now recently and the Sun God stuff and Gear 5, it seems like there would be kind of like an upgrade for Bardo's ship. And this is a good excuse for them to put together a new one,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was thinking when I was talking about like knocking all of them off, because I can only think the next time we're gonna see them all is when the last big push to the climax,
Right.
and that's crazy to me that we're at the point where it's like, right, I'm probably not gonna see these people until some really major shit is going down, and we're at that last
The
stretch.
craziest thing about that, though,
it's
is like
nuts.
we are in that, right? Like we are in the final saga now, right? Like after Elbaf,
Oh, yeah.
you've got Final War and Left Tail. Like that's pretty much all you got left. So it probably
So
won't
do we
be
think
a long
Hyrurin
time.
is at Elbaf? Because he's another member of the Grand
Oh yeah, he
Fleet.
probably would be.
Yeah.
When was the last time we saw him?
Wasn't he working for Buggy?
He
They
quit.
quit. Yeah.
Quit.
Oh, right,
yeah.
right.
I don't think we saw him after that.
I mean, I think it would make sense for him to be there for sure. Sai and Leo just had their moment in the anime where you saw what they did at the Reverie to Charlos. So I feel like you're seeing little bits and pieces of where the Grand Fleet is. So I'm still amazed that we actually got this, though. That scene was like seriously great.
With Bartolomeo?
Yeah.
You mean? Yeah, it's crazy. I hope for the best for fan favorite Bartolomeo. Good luck on getting the funds for that new ship. Moving on here. Like I think I was talking about it earlier. I think like I really love that shot with the Blackbeard pirates. Though I don't think this is probably me looking too far in between the lines, but I like how, technically you could say Shiryu too, but I like how the one person in this shot with the Blackbeard pirates that has their back turned towards the camera, it's Kuzan. It's almost like, he's not really part of this.
Yeah.
He's mostly colored in black. It's
Definitely.
like something here doesn't fit.
Definitely.
I like that a lot. Some great gags here. I really like the San Juan Wolf stuff. And the stuff with Pizarro picking up the ship. I really love that panel with Devon and Ogre's ship approaching the island. Just so much great details in there. Walter Simonson would say that's a good ship, I think. Sorry, that's way too inside baseball. Anyway, the Lego stuff. I like the idea that this is probably on Elbaf and this is probably a child's toy, because that's, the scale makes sense. But what I like about this the most was if this is like a child giant's toys and stuff, Oda was really smart about choosing Legos here, because what conveys a toy in this comic here, because I think you could try and draw a dollhouse or something like that, but this is already a very cartoony, One Piece is very cartoony looking, so I don't think it would really stand out. What is the easiest image you could use to convey this is not the real world, this is inside a toy? Legos was such a smart idea. It was clever, and I thought that was neat.
Well, also, don't forget that, the aesthetic of, large cakes and toys and dolls and stuff like that. The last time we saw anything like that was Whole Cake Island with Big Mom.
Mm.
So I think if you'd gone for, big, teddy bears and dolls and stuff like that, if that's where this is going, adult people can own Legos. I don't know if this is a controversial opinion.
And they do.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And they do. But, if we are going in that direction, it's cool that they then sort of pivoted to Legos rather than something which we've kind of seen a permutation of before and is just a bit more appropriate for what we're gearing up to see on Elbaf and setting those expectations, especially just because Legos are fucking cool and they don't exist in One Piece.
And it still kind of matches with Elbaf and its theming, right? Because Legos are from Denmark, and obviously the Viking and Scandinavian connections there. So there is still some type of tie to the overall theming of the land we're about to enter, which I think is kind of neat.
Indeed.
But I can't wait to see what kind of bender the Straw Hats went on to end up here. These are probably Nami's clothes are also, they're probably doll's clothes. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Be
That's
surprised,
good. Yeah.
I just can't wait to see how they got there. They're young, they're rich, and they're full of absinthe. What did they do?
Is that what this is? We're going to get the Hangover flashback.
Let's go crazy Elbaf style.
Well, no wonder they're not going to let her have any
fonder.
Polly Pockets.
The young, sick, and full of bricks.
I can't wait to see Sanji come home to Malibu Stacy's bedroom and be like, "Hey, baby, it's all worth it for you."
Homer made me do his laundry.
Oh no!
that one scene from Flushed Away where he's doing the tennis match is just dancing with myself with all the Barbies.
But yeah, I really love this chapter a lot. It has me very excited and also on my toes too, because an average writer or a lesser talented writer would just be like, and then they arrive at Elbaf. But having this, and it's unfortunately at the expense of splitting the Straw Hats up, which is always kind of but hoping for the best.
I did
here.
hear this is a weird minor little side theory thing, but I'm like, oh wow, he really might be playing 4D chess with this. Is someone in my live chat today mentioned during the live reaction that the group that we are assuming is probably with Nami, right, is the Alabasta group, right? Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Chopper, and Usopp, and Nami. And, you know, obviously with season 2 and season 3 of One Piece coming up, and we've got, you know, up to Drum Island with season 2, introduction of Chopper. It's like, if there is at some point going to be a tie-in with Lego, now would be a good time to do, like, an actual real life tie-in with Lego, right? Like, now would be a good time to do it with One Piece live action and like the new remake thing. And so, like, what characters would be in those Lego sets? It would most likely be, you know, our Alabasta crew. And so I wonder if this is just a toy, or if this is somebody who has like brick powers or whatever. Like, if we end up seeing Lego-ified versions of the Alabasta crew as like a teaser of what's to come for like an eventual One Piece Lego set, I would think would be pretty amazing 4D chess from Oda.
The implications of
that
there
it's
being
on
a
the
devil
brain
fruit,
is interesting.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of devil fruits where you could be like, what? It's like, what use can you possibly have of this? But a brick fruit, if it just means more Lego aesthetic, I'm for it.
I mean, we already had the hobby fruit, right, with sugar. So I feel like you do hobby fruit model Lego, bro, it's done.
No more memory loss.
Yeah, right.
The most dangerous devil fruit. You just summon Lego bricks and people step on them. So you more or less handled the
Oh my god! Could you imagine that? That's how you beat some of the giants, right? Is that you just scatter your Legos all over and then step on them?
We also need to appreciate that Nami's back must hurt like a motherfucker waking up on the
Back of
floor
Lego
made of
bricks.
Legos.
Exactly.
I mean,
God.
considering how much that back carries, and that's not a tinny joke. That's more of a like supports the crew kind of thing.
I mean, it could be both.
Sure.
Anything else before we move on?
Somehow Garp returned.
Somehow Garp returned. All right, let's move on to the next segment.
Good.
This is the anime recap for episode 1119, The Entrusted Message, King Cobra's Resolve. I'm your host, Sam, and today with me, we are joined with Supreme Chancellor of Special Guests, Ken O'Connor.
That is the highest praise I've ever received in a title on this show. So thank you, Sam.
But what if today was opposite day?
Oh, God. If today's opposite day...
sorry. What if today wasn't opposite day?
Oh, shit. But then it is opposite day. Oh, my... Wait. Okay, you gotta be honest. Is today opposite day?
That's not for me to decide.
God damn it. But yeah, thanks for having me on. It's my first time doing the anime recap, so I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, and you're welcome on, whenever's enjoyable or convenient for you.
Oh, thank you.
We are not hurting for anime recap guests.
I don't know.
So
Sony's own Steve Yurko has pretty big shoes to fill.
What was he last year? He was Touchstones.
He was Touchstones last week with Kangaroo Jack and all that.
I was want to make a list of stuff to.
I feel like you just look around the room
to ascribe to Steve.
Don't you just look around the room and see what stands out?
I do. So, episode 1119 opens with King Cobra speaking up to Emu, who has just sat down on the quote-unquote empty throne. Lily is speaking quite a lot for a person who had not been speaking much before now.
You mean Emu? You mean Emu?
Emu, yes.
Yeah.
Emu is talking about, they were talking about Lily and how Lily's blunder was the same as Ohara's and the pirates who were searching for the One Piece, implying that she was investigating or knew a little too much about the poneglyphs and the secrets therein.
I love the voice. You guys talked about it last week, but I love the voice Emu still.
Uh-huh.
You said it reminded you of the voice from Shadow of the Colossus, where it's neither man nor woman. They have some weird like voice filter going over it. It's so
like in that case, it literally is like two different actors talking at the same time.
Yes. And I can't tell if that's what this is here too, or they just or they took the same voice and like pitched it up really high and pitched it up really low and layered it over top of each other. I can't tell what they did, and it's still a mystery in the credits too. But it's so effective.
Yeah, it's definitely meant to be. You're not meant to be certain what their voice is at this point.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that with the Crunchyroll subtitles anyway, they're not capturing kind of like the old language that was in the manga, like none of like the vows and like all the old timey phrases that Emu was given in the translation.
Right. And so the elders, they all reach into their jacket pockets and pull out guns. They're ready to, pop some caps.
Except Venus Jura, who hand on the sword.
Emu is goading Cobra into saying Lily's full name. Like, oh, why do you keep just calling her Nefeltari Lily? Why is it more about the Nefeltari part, huh? Say it. And Cobra's like, can I lie and we can just not do this? Can I play dumb and you can't prove that I know what I know?
And it's funny because Emu isn't 100% certain, but like they're just certain enough. Like just say it. I know. I just need the confirmation. Just spit it out.
Yeah, so the elders are reminding him, like, hey, just the fact that you're seeing this person at all means we've already decided that you're going to die. So you can't negotiate your way out of this conversation.
This scene is so effective too because the Cobra's heartbeat is like so like it's pounding in the background over this entire scene. The sweat drops from his face, make the big like plopping sound on his lap. Like it's a really intense scene. It's really well done.
And so, according to Cobra, the name signed on the letter that Lily sent back to Alabasta, like the last, like basically evidence that they have at all that there was a Queen Nefeltari Lily, is written as Nefeltari D. Lily. Dun dun dun. So yeah, then a devil tail comes out of the vague shape that is Emu and snakes around and stabs Cobra right through the torso. Yeah. And Sabo, who's been kind of like watching around the corner this whole time, he jumps in and flames ablazing. He incurs Emu's wrath, and Emu turns into a big like chain chomp looking thing. And all the elders change form as well, and so we get sort of a sort of vague tease as to what their devil fruit powers might be. Like there's a bird one, there's one with like tusks or horns or something.
I was really thankful for this scene, how they animated it, because in the manga, some of the actions here weren't clear. Who was what and what was coming from where. Like that devil tail in the anime, it's very clearly coming from Emu down the stairs, goes behind Cobra and right through him. Where in the manga, it's like one panel of the tail. It looked like it came from like one of the elders on the side. But this makes it much more Emu focused. And then when Emu's crawling down from the throne, that's very clearly Emu transforming and the chain chomp eating the fire. Where in the manga, it's like, okay, that could be one of the elders, that could be Emu, but like this pretty much like locks it in place that it is Emu doing all these crazy transformations.
But it also like leaves you kind of questioning like what actually is going on. Like it seems pretty clear that the elders have maybe zone type fruits, but like does Emu also have like is there a specific monster that Emu, like a specific kind of mythical devil fruit that Emu has, or is it some other shape-shifting power, or is it?
Yeah, I remember the pointed tail. Everyone immediately thought, oh, it's very cartoon devil-y kind of. So if Emu is some sort of devil and devil fruit, like there's some connection there, but like you said, they're keeping it just vague enough for us to like theorize.
The devil fruit.
I really want that to be what it is. I know we joke about that, but it'd be so good.
Yeah, so Sabo's, he's jumping in, he's having his heroic moment, flames going everywhere. Sabo, like, he tries scooping Cobra up under his arm and, like, tries running off with him. And Cobra is basically like, yo, dude, I'm dying. Like, I don't think I'm getting out of here. You run off without me, and you go and tell Luffy and Vivi that we all share this initial D. And Sabo is surprised by this. He has some flashbacks to the conversation he was having with Ace and Luffy when they were kids. Because, like, Ace and Luffy, they know that they're not, like, blood related, but they both have this middle initial D, and they're like, oh, is that a coincidence? Is that, is that meaningful?
I enjoyed Luffy making fun of Sabo with the, oh, you want a D? Sa-di-bo, sa-di-bo. Just the voice actor for Luffy in that scene is really, like, there's something very cute about how he sings it.
And now it is Sabo's turn to get stabbed right through the chest, like, kind of like Jinbei taking the magma fist from Akainu in Marineford. But they fall. Cobra gets up. He puts his arms out. He's getting in the way between Imu and Sabo. And then that brings us to the eye catch of the episode. And we come back, and there's a hole in the wall where a Wapol sees it all. And there's just like, it's somewhere in the action. It's like a hole got poked through the rubble in the wall, and there's just like an eyeball in there, and it's Wapol who's seeing something he's now wishing that he had not seen. He gets terrified and tries running off, being like, "Oh, I wanted to see the dark side of the government, but now I'm filled with regret."
How much do you think he saw? Do you think, like, he saw Cobra meeting with the elders and, like, he made the hole himself and he's been spying the entire time? And then he's like, oh, shit, it escalated quickly. Like, was he there the entire time, or did he only see, like, the last little bit with the stabbing? Like, what did he see, you think?
I don't know. Like, what would have made that hole? Like, was there anybody, like, shooting guns at that point?
I don't think so. When I first saw the chapter, I assumed he made the hole himself to spy. Like, I don't know if he, like, ate a little hole through the wall. I don't know what he did, but I assumed he was spying.
Can he eat a little hole in the wall?
I don't know. What does that tongue do? I don't know. Is that how it works?
Yeah, like Tao Pai Pai.
Yes, exactly.
So the reverie is continuing. We see like meetings going on. We see the Boshi brothers, doing their dance for their sister. Shirahoshi, who is looking for Vivi, wondering where she went off to. And Vivi is tied to a chair.
Oh. Yeah.
Captured by CP9, or CP0. And they're all just being like, oh, them's the breaks, princess.
They all get their like little reintroductions with their little name tags and whatnot.
Yeah, they're all bickering.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about that one shot, though, of Vivi?
Which one shot?
When they cut to her tied to the chair for like 2 or 3 seconds. A little bit of a gratuitous animation there.
Yeah, I
wasn't
going to bring it up.
Okay, well, that's why. I was like, okay, that just seemed unnecessary. But like, then that was the only shot of that the rest of the episode. Like, okay, why for that one scene? But we can move on. I was very like, why?
CP0, they're explaining kind of the score to Vivi right now. Like, oh, those guys who smushed the Celestial Dragon, well, they were bragging about how they're friends with Luffy and they're friends with you and all that. And so Vivi's like, okay, so I got to get out of here somehow. And also elsewhere, after the revolutionaries showed up and left, Fujitora and Ryokugyu got into a fight. They got into an argument over, their priorities as admirals.
This was cool seeing this scene fleshed out a little bit more. I think it's only like a single panel in the chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just in time, Wapol comes crashing through the walls. He's just eating the walls as he's like running through them. just taking the path of least resistance as long as he's just like opening and closing his mouth. And he crashes through, causes a commotion. The CP0 has to pick themselves up, and the dust clears, and the princess is gone. Where could she have gone? And turns out she's hiding inside of Wapple's mouth. And she seems quite relieved to see Wapple. She's like, "Hey, thanks, old man. You're a real help to me." And Wapple's just like, "What did I do?" But Vivi's she's camping out in his mouth for now, long enough for Wapple and Vivi to run past Wapple's girl from Black Drum Kingdom, who at first is excited to see her man, and she's like, "Wapple, King Wapple, over here!" And then like she sees Vivi in his mouth as they run past, and she has a big goofy reaction, like, "Oh no, are they eloping?" And then that's how the episode ends. That's our big cliffhanger: is will Wapple and Vivi get married?
Find out. This was great too. This is like the entirety of chapter 1085, like start to finish in this one episode. Like really good pacing. And
the Lilith and Edison conversational bit at the end is talking about King Cobra. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Thoughts on this episode, Ken?
I loved this episode. I felt like it was a perfect continuation from last week's episode with all the build up with Emu and the tension. They're still doing a really good job with the mystery. Again, like I said earlier, still not revealing the voice actor who's doing Emu's voice. I'm seeing everyone on Twitter and whatnot try to like guess who it is or what could it be, and like I'm glad that they're not revealing it right now. I thought they might after last week being a mystery, but then kind of spilling the beans this one. But yeah, all the stuff with Emu was great. The Wapple stuff was really funny too. That initial him running away, like the initial running away, was extended from the manga, and just seeing him like trot down the stairs and just don't talk to me. It was really funny to watch. I was hoping we would see more of him going through the walls and just eating everything. They had that one shot of him from behind and just like he's facing away from the camera, and just we see like the walls like falling down in front of him. I was hoping like a side angle view where we could see him like actually chomping through room after room and people's reactions and whatnot. But I thought it was really, really well done. I love this episode. What about you?
I thought the episode was solid. Like there wasn't like a whole lot. Same with the last two episodes. There's not like a whole lot hugely standing out to me. One moment. Delaney, cut that out. Yeah, I thought this episode was solid. It the scene I found the most interesting was like towards the beginning when Cobra's getting stabbed and Sabo jumps in, and like you're just thinking about like how secretive this whole Emu thing has been all this time, and like how like tight-lipped that conspiracy is. And to be in that situation, and then to see Saba, who is like probably in the top 2 or 3 people like an Emu would not want to see in that room at that moment. You could definitely feel Emu's rage. That was very exciting and very inconvenient for the villains there.
Yeah, just Emu reacting with the "What are you doing here?" as he chomps on the fireball. And I was surprised, like, I know they had to, like, it works differently in the manga, but I'm surprised Sabo's fire held them back for as long as it did. It seemed like they were waiting for the fire to go out for them to, like, proceed forward and chase them a little bit.
Well, that's some anime posturing for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else you'd like to say before we move on to the next segment, Ken?
No, I don't think so. Thanks for having me on. That was a good episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Of course.
All right, let's move on.
This is the Piece Together segment. We take your questions, comments, theories, and it's where absinthe makes the heart grow fonder. As always, we start off the segment with the best segment ever. What's it called, Ed?
Called Dispiece. Yeah, and I'm doing it
And
this
those
week.
yeah, and these are questions we get over from our Discord server. Ed,
From
take it away.
Patrons, yes. All right.
Mhm.
First question comes from 49 Emperors of the Sea, who says, "Howdy, OPP. Lots going on this chapter. Bartolomeo once again proves to be the biggest Straw Hat fan ever, and Nami's ended up in Legoland. Speaking of fans and Legos, what would you want for a One Piece Lego set, beside the obvious choices of the Going Merry and the Thousand Sunny?"
You know,
boy.
Nami in Legoland, huh? It seems like we got a bunch of babes in Legoland.
100%.
Hey, wow.
Yeah.
Roll credits.
Smooth.
I think an Arlong Park one would be pretty good, or the execution platform in Logtown.
Give me that Gaimon set. I want those rare and weird animals.
with the weird animals, for
Yeah.
sure. I think Marineford would be awesome. I would
Yeah.
love to see Marineford.
Maybe because it's like fresh in my mind, but I think Full Lead would be really fun to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
The
Where did that house go? Oh, it goes over here.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Everybody's all about that Deku tree set, so why not the Ohara, the Tree of Knowledge?
Oh, nice.
With burn down action.
Yeah, getting blown up.
It's like the Deku Tree set. You can make two versions. You can make the one where it's
Where you
full
just
fire.
the giant hole.
Yeah.
Right. Jaguar D solid carbonate.
Or the giant globe from Ohara actually would be pretty cool. Like with a little clover
Oh, yeah.
and the library and stuff would be kind of neat.
Oh, yeah. If we were doing like big scale objects like that,
Yeah.
like a log pose would be pretty cool.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Okay, the next one comes from Sailor Karna is Universal, who says, "Sup, OPP? Looks like we're going to be taking a detour. See, kids, this is why you don't drink and drive. You'll end up in Legoland with a sword." Crying, laughing emoji.
Seems like we got a bunch of swords in Legoland.
Yeah, we didn't
No,
even talk
garps
about
on
the sword.
full lead.
Or is it an axe? We don't know.
Those Lego cutlasses always remind me of the swords that the Marines have.
Yeah, they work about as well.
Yeah.
They do have those flintlock pistols.
The next one comes from Professional Poyo, who says, "Howdy, OPP. So Bartolomeo, who didn't know Luffy is immune to most poisons? Wow. Fake fan, am I right? I can't wait to see how sinking a core member of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet is going to shake up Luffy and Shanks' relationship. Killing off Kid is one thing. Our boy Barto is a whole nother level. Well, not a villainous role, I hope. Where does this leave Shanks' role in the story going forward? He's always been dangerous. Can't cross him."
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just gonna go around the world like taking out your favorites. Like one
Yeah.
by one.
Yeah, just taking him out. I feel like, I don't know, the Shanks thing to me just feels kind of like a lead up to an eventual clash with family at Final War, right? Like I do still feel like all of the Yonko in some way, shape, or form, all the emperors are going to be present, obviously, for Final War, and most likely like a race to Laugh Tale as well. So my assumption is that, little by little, the world sees Shanks as this kind of untouchable, scary dude. But in reality, again, like even with the little bit that you saw with Bartolomeo and just other like little occasional things that he'll do, he still seems to be somewhat of a fun-loving guy. So I am wondering kind of like when that culture clash is going to happen, when we do eventually have, the reunion with Luffy or like a confrontation with some of his allies where Luffy is like actually within earshot and can see what's going on and like how he'll react to it. That excites me. Yeah.
Next one comes from Straw Hat Rigby, who says, "Hi, OPP. What a packed chapter. Anyway, after ordering the Trigon Deluxe Edition over a year and a half ago, it has finally arrived, which got me thinking, when One Piece eventually ends, what sort of deluxe edition of One Piece would you want? How do you think they would go about that? Any deluxe edition manga you have or want? Thanks for the time. Have a great week. I have the box sets of Nausicaa and Akira, and they both look beautiful."
Wasn't there like an
Yeah.
artist that recently did like that huge collected volume of every single chapter of One Piece up until that
There
point?
was. Yeah.
That was like part of like, wasn't that like part of like an exhibit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was an art
Yeah, or
installation.
something like that.
Honestly,
The problem is you can't do one solo volume of One Piece, like
No.
one deluxe edition, because it
Right.
crosses the line from being a book and turns straight up into a murder weapon. Like, it becomes a physical health hazard to own
turns
the
into
One
a
Piece.
I
deluxe
do
edition.
genuinely
skyscraper.
I love the Viz box sets that they have with like the treasure chest thing. I do think it would be like genuinely cool if you bought like all 120 or so volumes or however many we're going to have of One Piece at the end, if it was like delivered in a giant poneglyph would be kind of sick.
Oh, that would be pretty rad.
Like
In a
pull-out
perfect
shelves,
world,
Yeah,
I
exactly,
would
with pull-out shelves.
I would love for One Piece to get a color release, kind of like what they were doing with Dragon Ball Z for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Just because, like the art is great on its own, but Oda does such amazing color work. I know it wouldn't just be him doing it; they'd probably have other artists doing it. But it would be really cool to see the vibrant world on page to page.
It would be
in
cool
that
to
kind
have
of
it in
manner.
hardcover, like with the Akira box.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because like color always is the first that comes to mind, and I'm not like the biggest fan of the digital colored version. Like I think it's like a great little bonus thing, but I never think that's the definitive way to read One Piece. I think it's just I think that like those manga pages with the digital colors doesn't look nearly as impactful as anything in black and white from the series.
That's fair. Yeah.
For me, an Ultimate Edition, I don't know, maybe just go back and fine tune some of those early translations, and it's some consistency.
There's a couple
I don't
L's
know,
that could be R's, I think. Yeah.
Possibly.
Possibly.
I'll say, like, I don't know, I think my biggest grievance with the Viz translation is just I don't like the Skypiea adaptation. I
That one's
don't.
rough.
It's rough, and especially when Funimation at the time was bold enough to be like God Eneru and his priests, and all that, and then I feel like Viz might have played it too safe, and just I don't know. It does not. It lacks that oomph. I think more than anything, I'd rather have a fixed Skypiea over Zolo. There, I said it.
What would you have them call Eneru by chance? Like, what would the other name be other than like just Kami?
God Eneru.
Just got okay.
Yeah, well, because it's Kami Eneru or whatever.
Oh,
the Viz,
interesting. Oh, I don't remember that.
Fear
Really?
is the kami.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa.
this was on this thing, kind of like
The
80s
priests were
Nintendo.
vassals.
Yeah.
They borrowed a lot
in
of
the reprint, like the one that's in the
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
omnibuses?
yeah.
Whoa.
No, they never.
Yeah, they borrowed a lot
Lord
of
in a
4
room or
Kids.
something like that. Yeah.
They borrowed a lot of 4 Kids isms at the time because the priests are vassals.
Oh,
stuff. I think, like,
weird.
Yeah, because Vars is Verth.
Man, I have not
translation.
reread Skypiea in Viz in a long time, and I just like genuinely did not remember that. But I went back and I
You'd
looked
be
on my
surprised,
shelf.
yeah.
No, you're totally right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I think in a perfect world, I think I just want to. And I know like there's some like questionable stuff I think throughout a bunch of those speed up volumes, but I think just Skypiea I think suffered a lot in my opinion. So.
What's next, Ed?
Sure, the next one comes from Straw Hat Pirate 9, who says, Bartolomeo, my boy, my sweet, sweet boy. I thought I couldn't love him more. I was so wrong. When he downed that fake poison for Luffy, Bartolomeo is the best. He has to be okay. He has to be. Damn it, Yasop, why? Only way I forgive is if Barto's crew gets a cool new boat. 1,000 Luffy Senpai with Gear 5 figurehead. Let's go. Just don't take him away from me. Oda, please. We get it. He's your special little guy.
Yeah.
Special boy.
He's your Oomphy.
Monkey D. Oomphy?
Monkey D. Oomphy.
All right, what's next, Ed?
Next one comes from Lego Island 2, Cramster's Revenge. Says, Ahoy, OPP. Banger chapter as always. Can't believe Barto is dead. Grandpa's alive. Nami and the Sunny got stolen by the Brickster. And Shanks is a proud dad. And yet we still don't know Lafitte's fruit. What do you think it is? Is it one of the 5 flying fruits, Pell, R.I.P., mentioned in Alabasta? Wrong answers only, unless you want to give right ones, please.
I was thinking of that too. It's like with Lafitte. It's like, yeah, we still don't know what that's all about. Wrong answers or correct answers? Steven, I hear you chuckling there. What do you got?
Oh, I was chuckling about the 5 flying fruits. Is like just what a weird detail that Oda threw in there. And
Yeah, why so specific, pal?
yeah,
It's like with Hachi, it's like I'm the second strongest swordsman on Fishman Island.
yeah.
No, it's not
What
the
are the
albatross
other-
fruit. We know that.
Right. I was gonna say we have the
Yeah.
albatross. We have. I would just love it to be something
Shiki.
stupid like the pigeon fruit or something. Like if
Oh god, I hope it's a
Yeah.
penguin
Just
and it can
a
actually
penguin.
fly.
That's actually great. I
Something
love
stupid
that.
like a pelican.
I'd love it.
I want to see his half man, half beast form, which is the big stupid beak.
With the beak,
Yeah.
the pelican beak.
And maybe he could sing the morning report.
There you go. There you go.
I was thinking on a more serious note. I think when you were talking about Lafitte always being around like Mary Joa and always kind of up to something, it did make me think, I wonder if Oda's going to do another like sort of like cousin to like leveled up cousin to an old fruit and have this be like a more powerful or useful version of like the door fruit, for example, where it's just like, he can get in and out of anywhere. Because he seems to have that power, like the way that he just shows up at Mary Joa, like near the little council chamber place, just like hanging out in the window, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing here?" So he's definitely got a track record of that.
We got more questions here.
Mhm.
First one from Wisdom Pythagoras, who says, "Hey, OPP, with the missing half of the crew being the first 6 Straw Hats, do you think Oda is setting up the return of Vivi in this arc? It'd be great seeing her initially meet up with the half of the crew that have never met her, and very fun to have Robin be the only person she knows. P.S. I bet Kuma saw everything that went down when everyone was passed out drunk, since he's been involuntarily sober for the past several years."
Kuma's living my party life, where it's just like, all right, watch everyone else get drunk, and that's your entertainment value.
There
and
you
just
go.
get to hang out.
Just chill in the back. God, I
It is interesting
hopefully he
that
comes back.
that Vivi is in the sky. Like, she's airborne, so she
Yeah.
could be fucking anywhere at this point. It would be cool if, based on how much I mean, we haven't been getting cuts back to Vivi that frequently, but she's been there for.
Yeah, do we think that Morgan's just going to head to Elbaf because he's already heard where they're going?
That's where the
Yeah,
big news
super
is.
likely,
Emphasis
yeah.
on big.
Yeah.
I also still just I feel like, especially having just watched the anime episode from last night with the emu speech about Lily and the spreading of the poneglyphs and the whole thing of like spitting image with Vivi, I feel like there is something else there that has something to do with Kuma's power. Like either Lily previously had Kuma's devil fruit or something, and like that's how she spread the poneglyphs throughout the world, or something along those lines that like Vivi would need to discover. But yeah, I mean, like we're in the final saga, so if she's gonna link back up with him again, I feel like now would be the best time to do it.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, next question comes from Reverse 3 Eye Patch, who says, "Wow, OPP. It looks like Robin isn't the only lady pirate who refuses to dock. Katarina seems to hate docking as too. Any reasons you can guess as to why? Makes sense she would travel with a teleporter if this is her attitude. But it feels like a weird superstition or rule for a pirate to follow.
I mean,
It seems to be her attitude. She's always been sort of cheeky.
yeah. Like, why should I do something if I can get someone else to do it for me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does seem to be her style. Yeah.
It sounds like Moria, who also is apparently still out and about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Well, first of all, yeah, Moria's free, by the way.
Verona will be happy.
I think
That's
Perona's
true.
the one that did it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh.
I totally forgot because like the anime kind of really helped, flesh that out because I was just like, Perona's there? Oh yeah, Moria.
I think that's the last of the this piece.
Yes.
Alrighty.
So-
Then why don't we take a deep dive? Deep dive into the subreddit archipelago. Which,
Yes,
apparently
famously
we got.
Under the water, Sabati
Yeah.
Archipelago.
I don't know. Yeah, archipelagos, famous for being under the water.
Under the sea.
Yeah, that's my solution to everything.
God, I'm loving these Disney references today. You guys are killing it. This is great.
All right, so we sort of tangentially talked about this here, but D-Lightning says, hey, OPP, now that Shanks has taken out both the kid and Barto pirates, do you think Luffy will ever confront him about what he's done to his comrades? Knowing Luffy, I feel like there's only so much he can let slide, especially when it comes to the well-being of his friends.
I think Shanks just has a vendetta against bad hairdos.
That is quite possible.
As good as his hair is.
It's in his name, so yeah.
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 Red-haired.
The anti-anime hair brigade. You just had red hair and you liked it. That was your character trait.
Yeah, I think we are ripe for a confrontation of some kind, whether that's like, oh, we're going, fist to fist here, or whether it's just like sort of an emotional confrontation. I do feel like that's too ripe for Oda to pass up. Once Luffy and Shanks are kind of viewing each other as equals or as peers, I guess, as opposed to kind of mentor and mentee. So I would like to see something like that. Our next is Old Wolf 30, who says, hi, OPP. I know these are a week late, but listening to your podcast got me thinking. So this is referring to last week's chapter. One, what did the other vice admirals think when Jay Garcia attacks Doberman and then starts bursting into flames? And two, do we think the main reason Mars is upset at the new member is Garland immediately got the seat to sit in? Yes, Mars famously always standing, always looking for the musical chairs. That's pretty good. Anyone have any thoughts about Garcia attacking Doberman and then blowing up into horrifying demonic flames? Take that as a no.
I mean, the lesson there is don't fuck with Doberman.
No, nobody has any love for the elders, it seems. Like,
no,
whereas they might have actually been comrades with like Doberman if they respected him as a Marine. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they probably thought that was some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Next is from Matt C13, who says, hey, OPP, been listening to the pod for about 2 years. This is my first time submitting a question. Better late than never. After seeing the panel of Blackbeard checking in with Lafitte, do you have any theories as to what Blackbeard has planned in regards to Mary Joa? Or do you think he is planning something?
I think that's like Endgame, Final War type stuff. I don't know. Part of my brain is going to Blackbeard tying in with the stuff with Wano. I think like Caribou knowing all that information and then spilling that to Blackbeard and having like this 2-day time gap in between the stuff that's happening kind of like leads me to believe that maybe he's having like Lafitte sort of keep an eye on the stuff that's going in Mari Joa so he can maybe go swoop in, get Pluton from Wano, and then like blow up the Red Line, or do something like take that as his opportunity to finally bring down everything and become this all powerful kind of ruler. I don't know. And the further we go into the story and the closer we get to the end, and the more we see of Emu as well, and like the Gorosei and all these weird demon powers, the more I kind of go back to this idea that at some point Blackbeard will take Emu's fruit. Or whatever Emu's power is, whether that's a fruit or it's a demonic thing or whatever, and that's going to be
take
like
the throne as well. That's what he wants.
Yeah, I think like something along those lines. Yeah, like take the
why join the world government when you can just
become it? Yeah, right. Yeah. exactly. Yeah.
I mean, especially if like Blackbeard's whole end game to this point has been like some recognition of power, like that makes the most sense. Like go for the top of the list.
Right.
He doesn't need legitimacy by being acknowledged by the world government. Conquest is its own special kind of legitimacy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love how this chapter's been like that. It divvies 2/3 of its time between Shanks and Blackbeard. It makes it really interesting, like how each of the 4 emperors is now going after Because obviously all of them have their own tactics, but like Buggy's back in full force, Luffy, and honestly, they're a bit closer just in terms of straight on ahead, deliberate, like one line towards the One Piece, not fucking around, just like, we're just gonna go, we're just gonna do it.
Sure.
As opposed to, honestly, like the more crime boss methods of Shanks and Blackbeard, because it's much more tactical the way they've been going about it. So it's interesting to me that that there's two sides of this this race, exempting the other folks who have been singled out as potential threats to getting the One Piece. But within the four emperors, there's two very sharp, very different approaches. And I like this chapter in particular, how those two are lumped together in terms of what they're doing to get there.
For sure.
Indeed. Our last comment on Reddit is from Amiibo Hunter, who says, "Hey OPP, poor Barto, what a ballet of emotions. So, Elbaf has definitely begun. We all agree that Nami is totally in like a toy house being held captive by some brat giant, right? I mean, could be an adult giant. We've raised the possibility. I see pegs like Lego bricks, and everything has this plastic look. It looks like some of the crew were captured to be kept as toys. Is the rest of the crew besides Frankie, Robin, Jinbei, and Brooke captured? Do you think the giant crew has any idea of what has happened or where they could be? Great chapter. Keep up the awesome work."
Thank you.
Really have no idea.
I almost wonder if, like, you know, the Sunny just kind of sailed, I guess, closer to Elbaf, and then maybe somebody just saw it and was like, "Oh, toy ship," and just picked it up out of the water like that, and was like, "Oh, little toy people here." I mean, he does say Nami, so you know, whoever has them knows who they are, presumably. So it may not be as simple as like, "Oh, it looks like toys. Let me put them in my little dolly house." But I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of the angle.
I would have had to pay $60 for this on AliExpress.
There you go.
What's my luck?
Yeah, rare Nami.
Shiny Nami.
Yeah. That is that's the end of Reddit. Steve, do we have any other piece together?
No, I took a look. No piece together, no emails. So I think that's going to do it for the piece together segment.
Woo!
All right.
All right. Let's round off the show.
Cool.
All right.
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 834 for the week of Monday, September 16th, 2024. Amazing chapter, great episode of the anime, great questions from our fans. It's been a good week. Thank you all so much for joining us this week on our Zackless, I repeat, Zackless episode. But it was a fun one. In terms of anything coming up lately, nope. It's just business as usual for us over here at the podcast. But I start going down our guest list today. First of all, Roger, good to have you back on the show.
Always a pleasure.
What do you got going on, and where could the good people find you?
Yeah, so I actually am about to leave in 4 days on a secret trip to a certain country. And I still cannot talk about it as of the time of recording, but if you're listening to this a week late, if you go check my YouTube channel, you'll know where I am. And I feel like people who watch the show are probably going to be very interested in the stuff that I'm going to see. So I'm supremely excited, and I apologize for the weird vagueness, but it's just I'm under heavy NDAs. So look forward to that. But yeah, you can find me as always, RogersBase on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Instagram. And I will be able to say that this next upcoming chapter, I'll be able to read in a physical Shonen Jump, and I'll be live reacting to it in this special location that I'm going to be in over the course of the next weekend. So look forward to that. And yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I'm glad that I'm back for another good chapter.
always make it a tradition, at least the 2 times I've been out there, is I will get the weekly Shonen Jump
Always.
that has One Piece
Always.
in it. Yeah, I like it. It's a nice little time capsule. But cool. I hope you have a good time, safe trip, and looking forward to seeing what you get into there.
Can't wait. I cannot wait to talk about it more.
Dan, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Oh, it's so good to be back.
Yeah, always. Where could what are you getting up to? Where could people find you?
Nothing. Oh man, what are my socials again? Gosh, it's been so long. I'm on Blue Sky still at dan.onepiecePodcast.com. Occasionally posting things about my current move, some video game collections, some figurine stuff. But hopefully within the next couple months, once things are more settled, I'll get back into a streaming schedule. So you can find me over on Twitch at GA1C. Also try and make it a point to get back on the schedule with the Maji Media streaming once things settle down. So that way I can stream with our good pal Joe and our good pal Donnie, play some games with them. But that's a little ways off, but hopefully sometime soon.
Right on. Delaney, what you got going on these days?
Pretty typical stuff for me. Twitter at Delaney L. Jordan. A Blue Sky I keep alluding to, but I never actually use. I have my Patreon as well. I think that's Infinite Snow Productions on Patreon. It's almost 4:00 in the morning. You're getting what you're getting. You can find me on YouTube as always at Infinite Snow Productions. Check out my latest video, The Snow White Paradox, which I thought was okay. YouTube, I think, was just like, right, you've had enough views and stopped showing it to people, so it's just been sitting at like 19K for about 2 weeks.
It's a fickle mistress.
It's a fickle mistress, and I deserve it for taking a hiatus. But you know, if any words in that title appeal to you at all, go check it out. I thought it was all right.
I was gonna say, if you enjoyed any of our references today, if you weren't gonna plug the Snow White video, I was gonna make sure.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
I gotta mention, you're welcome. But yeah, please go check out that video. It's very entertaining. Delaney always makes some really great stuff. And hey, some of my favorite video essayists on YouTube, they release a video every now and then, and usually they're all bangers. So it's a stamp of quality.
Well, thank you, Steve. I will say, yeah, if you didn't find our repeated morning report jokes fucking unbearable, you will like that video. But other than that, yeah, pretty easy breezy stuff. I'm working on this every week, so thanks for having me back.
All right. Steven, where could the good people find you?
Yo, I am posting occasionally over on Blue Sky at stephenpaul.bsky.social. My 3-chapter day reread is getting to the the slog part of Dressrosa, shall we call it. Just today I had the amazing fight where Robin is trying to run up the wall, and Bartolomeo, speaking of which, R.I.P., has this incredible fight with Gladius. What a character. What a designed a cool guy, and then he said, "Yes, King, give us nothing." And that
James
was
would have hated Gladius. Great hair.
Yeah, Gladius would have been relegated to rock star status.
Gladius is the most anime hair of One Piece characters, I think.
It's the Super Saiyan 3 hair.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, loving that part. But I will be done with Dressrosa pretty soon, I'm sure. And yeah, so just random thoughts like that as I continue my reread over on Blue Sky. So follow me there if you care.
No shred of sarcasm in that at all.
Nope.
Ed, do you want to do the usual rundown here?
Sure. I'm Edward E. One Piece on Twitter. I'm edwarde.bsky.social on Blue Sky. Podcast can be found at the new and improved OnePiecePodcast.com, twitter.com/OnePiecePodcast, at OnePiecePodcast.com on Blue Sky, Patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast, YouTube.com/OnePiecePodcast. Our subreddit is r/OnePiecePodcast. Submit your subreddit archipelago questions there, please. And if you subscribe on Patreon, you can submit Dispiece questions on our Discord. So check that out.
Absolutely. I think other than that, what are some things we could drop there? Check us out on YouTube. We post podcast episodes on there as well for those that just got to listen to their audio on the video website. Besides that, yeah, wherever you get your podcasts, the just improved OnePiecePodcast.com now. I don't think it's new, but it is.
It was new a while back.
It was new a few years ago. But please go there. And for me, I'm just, Steve Yurko on most social media, including the ever so popular Blue Sky. And check me out on 4Kids Flashback with Tara Sands. Check me out on Prosy D Plays Games with Prosy D. And as for the One Piece podcast, that's going to do it. My name is Steve.
My name is Ed.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
On the next morning report.
Changing the name of the podcast.
That's the long and the short.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah.
There, just cut it there. That's perfect.